Yeah, well, now we see these huge changes in the physical demand as shown by the numbers we've seen coming from London. London, we've had some official commands even by the Bank of England that lots of physical gold is moving from London to New York. And this also showed, I think, is part of this larger reset. And I think the paper gold and paper silver system, which have been, well, keeping prices down, I think, for the last few decades, that's at least my opinion. That system will be breaking down in a not too distant future. So I think the rapid rise of gold and silver starts to act a bit now as well. I think it's only the start of a much larger revaluation of physical gold and silver.
Gold recently breached the key psychological level of $3,000 per ounce before experiencing a pullback, primarily attributed to profit-taking as market participants anticipated a deeper correction. Each time a significant milestone, such as $2,700 or $2,800, has been crossed in the past 18 months, a notable pullback has followed. The $3,000 mark carries even greater psychological significance, especially with an upcoming Federal Reserve meeting adding to market uncertainty. Willem Middelkoop, founder and CEO of the Commodity Discovery Fund and author of The Big Reset, attributes the ongoing gold rally to increasing demand for physical gold, particularly from central banks. This surge reflects rising global uncertainty, geopolitical tensions, and concerns over currency debasement. Central banks from nearly 30 countries have accumulated over 1,000 tons of gold annually, absorbing a significant portion of the global mine supply of 3,500 tons annually. This trend signals a broader shift from the dollar-dominated financial system toward a more multipolar economy. Investor interest in gold has been further reinforced by a significant uptick in gold ETF inflows over the past few months, surpassing Bitcoin ETFs. Bitcoin prices have declined by approximately 19% over the last 3 months, while gold has risen by around 12% during the same period. Since February 24th, Bitcoin ETFs have experienced net outflows of approximately $3.8 billion, whereas gold ETFs have consistently seen inflows since February 21st. The most recent week ending March 14th recorded inflows of $1.16 billion, even as gold briefly touched the $3,000 per ounce level. The surge in demand for gold is also reflected in record-high inventories on the COMEX exchange following Donald Trump's election in November 2024. Driven by tariff concerns and profitable price discrepancies, COMEX gold inventories soared by over 120%, reaching 40 million ounces, the highest level since 1992. As market dynamics continue to evolve, the demand for gold remains strong, reinforcing its role as a hedge against economic and geopolitical instability. Make sure to tune in for our expert analysis. Don't miss out on future content. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay in the loop. Your support is greatly appreciated.
If you look at the gold equities, you would think we're at 1,500 gold. Well, gold's going up because demand for physical is huge out there. And especially is demand by central banks, and that's telling you something. There's a lot of chaos out there, there's a lot of uncertainty out there, there's a lot of geopolitical risk, and of course we have the debasement of the currencies. That I think that explains almost all. I think institutional investors and many larger investors only will touch gold when there's a smell of war in the air. Well, we have had war in the Ukraine, we've had war in the Middle East. Iran is still a problem which isn't solved. Then you have the chaos now regarding the new Trump administration. You're aware of, I'm the author of The Big Reset, which I wrote 10 years ago, explaining that we are in the last inning of the current dollar system, and we needed to see large changes coming to the world's financial system around 2020, 2025. Well, we're here now, and I think the reset is happening as we speak. Even the Trump administration is sending out signals now that they want to start restructuring the U.S. debt. So we can expect many changes coming. Yeah, well, now we see these huge changes in the physical demand as shown by the numbers we've seen coming from London. London, we've had some official commands even by the Bank of England that lots of physical gold is moving from London to New York. And this also showed, I think, is part of this larger reset. And I think the paper gold and paper silver system, which have been, well, keeping prices down, I think, for the last few decades, that's at least my opinion. That system will be breaking down in a not too distant future. So I think the rapid rise of gold and silver starts to act a bit now as well. I think it's only the start of a much larger revaluation of physical gold and silver. Well, we've seen almost 30 different countries, their central banks adding to their gold reserves in the last few years. And together they have picked up over 1,000 tons of physical gold in the last 3 years, every year. And that's huge, because if you know, world gold mine production is only 3,500 tons every year. So it shows the main buyers are these central banks, and it shows that they know changes are coming. They know the dollar system, the current dollar system is ending, and we're moving away from this unipolar to this multipolar world. And that will bring a lot of uncertainty, and it might even bring war, although I'm not that scared about that, especially for the EU right now.
The BRICS alliance is facing internal divisions regarding the global de-dollarization agenda. While the bloc initially appeared united in reducing reliance on the US dollar, differences among its 9 members have created fractures. Some nations advocate for a common currency to facilitate trade, while others remain hesitant, leading to a split in priorities. Russia, China, and Iran are the most aggressive in pushing for an alternative to the dollar. Russia and Iran, both under heavy sanctions, are urgently seeking new financial pathways to bypass restrictions. Meanwhile, China views BRICS as a strategic tool to further its global ambitions, a move India strongly opposes. India remains wary of China's growing influence and sees its efforts as opportunistic rather than cooperative. Amid these geopolitical tensions, de-dollarization continues to gain momentum, drawing serious concern from Washington. Once dismissed as an insignificant movement, BRICS has become a focal point of U.S. policy. Trump's recent warning of 100% tariffs on nations shifting away from the dollar underscores the growing anxiety in Washington. Willem Middelkoop highlights that these developments signal a shifting global financial order, with gold as a key indicator of the changing landscape. Let's get back to the interview.
Actually, it was a good 10 years ago that Mark Rutte phoned me on my mobile because he read my book and wanted to discuss it. So there's a direct line there. But I'm not that worried about war in Europe. I think that's overplayed, and that's used to make people pull their wallet and pay more taxes, so we can spend more on military stuff. But with the Trump administration, everything we were quite sure of in the last 50, 60, 70 years is now getting questioned, and this is part of a larger, well, you could say an 80-year cycle. Every 80 years, 18, 19 years, the world seems to change, and we seem to get a new leader. If you look at the world reserve currency, on average, every 92 years, we see a new reserve currency come. So we should see this in the light of the fourth turning, the thesis well explained by Neil Howe in his famous book. So I think it's all part of these bigger changes, which I call a big reset. But it might be especially important for us as gold and silver investors, because of course gold is still highly connected to the US dollar and is still a central part of the financial system. You had this feeling in the West, and even Mark Rutte explained it like that in Dutch Parliament some years ago, that the BRICS alliance, you should take them too serious. You know, these just a bunch of countries talking together. But now Trump has said that all countries choosing to drop the dollar and to move within the BRICS alliance to a new reserve currency, they could all expect 100% tariffs. That clearly shows that Trump is taking the BRICS alliance very serious. It shows that they're getting a bit nervous in the US, and rightly so. But it takes time to build a new alliance. It took time to build a Western alliance after the Second World War. France was not in line with the US foreign policy for years. So I'm not that worried that countries like India choose a separate line on some of the matters being discussed within the BRICS alliance. If you have to threaten if you have to threaten other countries, foreign countries, to get them moving into a certain direction. That's a behavior which shows strength. It shows weakness, and the more you threaten other countries, the more they will move away from you. So in a way, Trump is helping the de-dollarization trend by his obnoxious behavior. I call this bully politics, and I think most countries, whether it's Canada or Brazil or China, most countries are fed up with it. For me, to make a gold-backed bond, you first need the gold. Gold from London to the US is a sign of things to come. Nobody really knows. Only I think some insiders within the administration know what plans are being built now.
As gold continues to assert its role as a preferred asset amid economic and geopolitical uncertainty, its rising demand reflects a growing shift in global financial strategies. With central banks aggressively increasing their holdings and investors seeking alternatives to volatile markets, gold's significance as a safeguard remains evident. Meanwhile, broader economic concerns and monetary policy decisions will likely influence its trajectory in the coming months. Will gold sustain its upward momentum, or will shifting economic policies and investor behavior lead to another correction? Share your perspective in the comment section. If the video resonates with you, join our community by subscribing to our channel and enabling notifications with the bell icon. Thank you for being a part of our community.